of the knockout. So welcome to BarnBurner Network on Zingo TV Channel 250. Please remember to download both the BarnBurner and Zingo TV apps from the respective iOS and, of course, Android app stores. Both apps are absolutely free. While you download, please make sure to rate and leave a comment as we want to hear from you. And Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, and Fire TV sticks. Roku and Roku sticks are also available on all smart TVs from 2016 forward. So I'm your host, Noel Clubb, here on the Knockout on the BarnBurner Network. And we have a very special guest on today. We have Nick Fantazzi. How's it going, Nick?
Hey, not bad. Yourself?
Very good, very good. Before we get to Nick here, we're going to introduce our knockout panel. So we have on the knockout panel today, we have Caitlin Clark, a Canadian boxing champion and Team Canada athlete, training out of Sid Fit Boxing, joining us from outdoors in Kitchener. Welcome, Caitlin.
Thanks for having me. There's probably going to be a little background noise. A car just drove by me.
Oh, it's all good. No,
thanks for having me.
Of course. Sounds good. Looks good over there. And then next we have Ryan Ranelli, the owner of No Excuses Boxing and Fitness in Burlington, Ontario. Ryan joins us from his home in Burlington. Welcome, Ryan.
Thanks for having me, Noel.
Of course, sir. It's always a pleasure to have you on. And then next we have Armin to the rescue, the owner of head coach of legendary boxing, Atlas Boxing Club, located in Toronto, Ontario as well. Welcome, Armin.
Thank you, Noel. Happy to be here again.
Of course, man. Great to have you on as well. And so moving on, we're going to have of course, as our guest here today, we have Nick Fantazzi. So Nick is a Canadian professional boxer. He's a light heavyweight boxer with 10 fights, 5 knockouts. And Nick joins us from his home in Toronto. Welcome, Nick, to Knockout.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, Nick. Yeah, thanks for being on. It's fantastic to have you on the show here. So tell me, sir. So tell me how did it all start for you in boxing? Where did it all start for you?
Well, it all started for me, like a lot of kids. I started watching Rocky, and then that's how I got into, like, I just liked it. And then from there, I saw real boxing. I started watching real boxing and seeing it's not like it is in the movies. And then, I just fell in love with it from there. I just watched some Canadian fighters and then started going to a gym, and then I haven't looked back.
No kidding. So what gym? What's the gym you went to first?
First gym I went to, there was a gym that opened up. I grew up in Vaughan, so there was a gym that it opened up for like a year. You guys probably never even heard. It was called I forgot what it was called. It was like less than a year old, and then they shut down. And then from there, I just kept kind of gym hopping and just trying to train.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And where are you at these days? Where are you training at these days?
So now I'm training under Tommy Howitt at Olympia Muscle and Fitness. It's in like Mississauga, like Etobicoke kind of area.
Oh,
that's
gotcha.
right now. Yeah, I've been there for about a year and a half.
Year and a half now. And weren't you at RG's gym for a little bit?
Yeah, I was there for I think like maybe 7, 8 years. Yeah.
And moved on from there, eh?
Yeah, I just made a move, and then I'm with Tommy Howitt now and getting some good training there, and it's been great.
Excellent. That's great, sir. Well, I see you joining us here today. Also, we have our panelist, our new panelist here this afternoon, who's the CPBC contest winner. We have Jason Burgoyne joining us right now. Welcome, Jason.
Hello, how you doing?
Very good, sir. Very good. So welcome to Knockout, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Get some light on here.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Brighter's the better. Brighter's better. So yeah, it's great to have you on because you're the CPBC contest winner, which is the Canadian Professional Boxing Council winner of the contest to join the show and ask questions to Nick. So yeah, once again, welcome. Great to have you on the show here, sir.
Thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome. So in speaking of the panel, I'm going to throw it over to the knockout panel. I'm going to throw it over to Jason, the contest winner, and fire away, Jason.
All right, I'm actually going to ask you a question, Nick, about on behalf of my boxers. I own Pembroke Boxing in Pembroke, Ontario.
Yep.
And I've got a couple of young competitors who, of course, want to turn pro. I've got one that's his life plan. That's all he wants to do is go to the Olympics and turn pro, and some others that are considering it. Mm-hmm. The question from them is, I guess, twofold. Is number one, what some advice you'd give to young boxers up and coming in the amateur ranks? And the second part of that would be what the difference is between competing amateur and pro, aside from the obvious a few rule changes and the number of rounds and things like that.
Well, the biggest advice I'd give for them coming up is you have to work hard. Obviously, as all boxers do. It just, it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, sacrifices, commitment. It comes to a point where you sometimes have to choose between work and training, and if you're going to go pro, you have to choose training, right? So, yeah, it's tough, but if you really want it, you can go for it and you can get it.
That's not a message they always hear well from the coach. They'll hear it better from somebody like you who's done it.
Yeah, you know what? It's very hard to, you need to make money, you need to work, but at the same time, you have to be able to provide for yourself, and you have a family, but at the same time, if you have goals and dreams, you have to work towards them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's a hard balance, but you have to give it your all. You can't, you guys know you can't half-ass boxing, right?
You know it.
Yeah.
So would you say that the biggest difference is boxing between the amateur ranks and the pro ranks? What's the major difference in the ring?
The only difference I would really say is pressure. To be honest, like I feel the same in my pro fights that I felt in my amateur fights. And I take it for what it is. If you're well prepared, like I handle pressure pretty well, I believe. Just because I go into the ring knowing I did all I can. So for me, it's the same thing, except it's just different with, like you said, there's the rules, and then even the gloves. The gloves are a big difference. Like when I hit with the pro gloves, like I could feel my knuckles hitting people. So, it's a lot different than the amateur gloves. But at the same time, like I felt the same in my amateur fights as my pro fights. There's not really much of a difference when you're actually in there, except for the gloves.
Right, of course.
Yeah. And show the audience too. I mean, we're wearing amateur gloves. We're wearing between 10 ounce to 12 ounce, whereas pro, it's looking like, it's 8 to 6, depending on where it is you are.
And I guess the design is quite different too, right?
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, the design's different. Of course, a smaller glove, more impact.
Yeah, I noticed that the pro gloves, there's not much padding in the front. It's more distributed throughout. As the amateur gloves, there's a lot of padding in the front.
Yeah,
where the knuckles
cut off, right? So.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Hey, over to Caitlin on the knockout panel.
All right. Hi, Nick. How's it going?
Hey, not bad. Yourself?
Good. Okay, so I was just like looking you up or whatever. I saw you turn pro in 2017, but then I looked at your age. So what's with the late start in the pro career? But also, what's your amateur background like?
So my first fight was in 2007. My first amateur fight. I had a very extended, long amateur career, and that goes with kind of what we were talking about before, the whole work training situation. I should have went pro before I went pro, probably 5 years before that. I just had a very, very bad luck of string of injuries. I ruptured my bicep. I herniated disc in my back. I had bad sciatica where I even went into a pro fight limping to the dressing room because my sciatica was so bad. It's under control now, but I had a lot of injuries. Like, when I tore my bicep, you can probably see that scar here.
Yeah.
I went through a lot as an amateur, and I won, I'd say 98% of my amateur fights. But I hear from a lot of people, maybe you're doing well, you always win, but maybe your body it's not handling it properly. Maybe you have to stop. And the whole thing with work was I'd wake up, I'd train in the morning, I'd go to my job, start at 7 o'clock in the morning, work a full day outside, go to training after, sleep in my car for half an hour, get in whatever power nap I could, train. Then I'd work with clients or something after that. I had no rest. So I kept getting injured, one time after another, and I had a really strong work ethic. I have a lot of drive and determination. So even though people would tell me, Nick, maybe you should stop, I didn't want to have any of that, right? So I just did things smart. I quit my job and I started training people full-time in boxing, which, well, not full-time, but I'm training, clients when I can. That way I was around boxing. I was still working and learning myself as I'm doing it. And then I went pro right after that because I stopped getting injured. I had more rest. And that's where I went from there. So that's why I started so late as a professional. So
yeah, gotcha.
I had a lot of experience, sparring. I know sparring is different, but sparring top guys in Canada as professionals. 2 years into boxing, I was sparring Troy Ross and helping him for his title fight. And I had a lot of experience, and I wish I had a lot more fights. I only had 28 amateur fights, so
wow.
I had a very good record, but I only had 28. But I had a long time to prepare and a lot of sparring. So sorry for the long answer, but that's the answer.
No worries. Thank you very much.
No, it's all good, Nick. It's all good there. So next over to Armin.
Excellent. I have a question that will kind of like work off of that last one. I've known you ever since you were an amateur, Nick, and I had the privilege to watch you fight. I'm pretty sure you fought even one of my boxers somewhere along the way.
Probably.
And you know what? I remember you several times like being at like, you know, a high level and ready and getting injured. Maybe tell us more about, and everybody in Knockout Nation here, what it's like to get injured and then to have to come back and train and get yourself back to that top level. How do you do that?
You know what? It was really hard, but the thing that you have to do is you have to kind of understand your body and know what your limits are. I remember I have, you know, I got injured. I had a back injury. This is kind of a side story. I'll try to make it short, but in January, I came home from training. I slept. I got out of my bed and I couldn't move. And that was in January. And I remember up until the end of April, I barely was able to move. I couldn't work. I was miserable because I was just like, I couldn't move. And I started to feel a little bit better. I went to the gym. The first day back in the gym, my trainer says, "Hey, Nick, there's these pro guys from Ukraine. Do you want to move around a bit?" This is my first day back in 4 months of training. And which is what I'm saying. You have to understand your body. I should have said no, but me being the competitor I am, said, "Yeah, I'll move around a bit," you know. So the first round happens. I jogged back to my corner to get some water, and I fell face first because my leg gave out. So I fell face first right down because I couldn't feel my leg, but I thought I felt good because I was moving for the first time in a while, like in a boxing gym, right? So my trainer's like, "You all right?" I go, yeah, just my leg feels weird. Started sparring again. Within a minute, I twisted my ankle. So I go home. I'm lying in bed. I have a twisted ankle. My back's still messed up. I get a call. "Hey, they offer you to fight a guy in Bahamas. He's a little bit bigger than you. I think you can do it." And I said, "I don't know. I can't even move. I'm in bed with a twisted ankle and hurt back." And then that same conversation, I'm like, "Sure, I'll do it." I woke up, you know, a week later, I woke up to go to the airport. I got out of my bed. I had back spasms. For the first time, like I never get scared before a fight, but I was scared. I was scared shitless, to be honest. I went to Bahamas. The guy was bigger than me. He said, "Oh, he's about 210 pounds." I was about 188. So I get there, the guy was 230 pounds. Fought him and I won, even though I couldn't really do much. But long story short, I kind of just had to use my mind instead of my body. I had to rely on my knowledge instead of my physical attributes or anything like that, and I ended up winning. So like experiences like that, even though I shouldn't have done it, it taught me a lot and gave me a lot of confidence that even if I'm 80% going to a fight, I know I can handle myself and I'm not going into it too worried. And, yeah.
Wow, sounds like an episode out of The Kingdom. Good for you. Good for you. That's a great story.
Oh, thanks.
Very good. Sorry. Go over to Ryan now.
No, go. Sorry.
Finished. All good, man. You can finish what your thought there. I was interested, actually.
Oh, okay. I was just saying that, like, you know, I've went through a few injuries like that. I came back after I tore my bicep. Within a month, I fought the top guy at heavyweight and super heavyweight within a week's time, and I beat them both right after I tore my bicep. So I wasn't strong. I wasn't in shape, but I ended up beating them both. And then it just taught me a lot. And then, you know, as a pro, my 8th fight, I broke my hand in the 2nd round of the fight. Then, you know, my first fight back, I fought this guy from Mexico, really tough, come forward kind of guy. And before the fight, someone said to me, "You know, Nick, you should test out your hand the way they wrap it, like the professional wrap. Test it out, put some gloves on, and see how you feel." Because I still wasn't 100% with my hand. And I got my buddy to wrap my hands. I put on 16-ounce gloves, and still every punch I threw, like, killed me. Like, it felt like it was really bad. So I went into that fight, which is what I kind of taught myself now, I should never do this. I went into that fight with doubts in my head, right? And it was the worst fight I ever had in my life, amateur or pro. My hand was down here. I thought it was, you know, I was just worried not breaking my hand again because it was such a big, it was horrible. Like, it's still not even, you know, still not great, but I could finally punch as hard as I can now. So, you know, basically what I'm trying to say is, you know, with the experiences, I kind of taught myself how to adapt and how to deal with them. And even though that was one kind of hiccup I had where I was thinking too much about it, I should have just let it go. I ended up winning still, but it made it really ugly and difficult on myself.
Sure. Yeah. Well,
It's
good, man. It takes,
Well, over to Ryan.
it takes, yeah, you know what? It takes a lot of grit to put yourself through that. I mean, maybe, hopefully, that hand gets better, but I mean, the experience of just putting yourself through that challenge is definitely going to pay off in the future. Well, good luck with the hand.
Oh, thanks. It's actually great. It happened in March of 2019.
Okay.
And this COVID thing, it actually kind of did like better for me because I actually got to not hit, like throw it on the bag and not spar, not do any of that.
Yeah.
And now I can finally, as of like a month ago, I hit the bag as hard as I can and I'm fine.
Nice.
It just, so it feels a little sore after, but it's completely fine now. Like I have confidence I can throw as hard as I want now and I'm good.
That's awesome. Yeah. You know what? I healed from a lot of old injuries during quarantine too, so it's been solid.
You gotta take the positives, right?
For sure, man. Yeah. Hey, man. So I know you're 10-0, 5 KOs.
Yep.
Most of your fights have been at home, right?
Yeah.
And you're currently ranked number 4 in Canada. Before quarantine, were you guys aiming towards like a Canadian title fight? Was that what your eyes were on? And has the quarantine, the whole shutdown, and the lack of fights in Canada changed that course?
I don't want to say too much, but I know I was right on the verge. And as soon as this is over, I hope to get a shot right away. If not, I don't mind even taking another fight first to kind of get my feet wet again. But I'm not even asking for that. I'm just basically saying I want to fight anybody in my division, and I want that title. I need that Canadian title. That's what I worked for so long. That's all the sacrifices I put through. Like I need that Canadian title. So that's what I want. And whether it's my first fight back or my second fight back, it's happening. So
cool. And so nothing else on the horizon. Like I know you're with Baxter, right?
Yeah, I'm with Lee Baxter.
Yeah, he's done a good job. Like getting Sammy some fights outside of Canada. If something, who knows when there's going to be fights in Canada again?
Yeah.
If something comes up in the States, are you guys kind of on board with that, or like what's the
100%? See that's the thing. All along during quarantine, I've been training 2-3 times a day, doing different things. I just started back with my boxing gym, my coach, within the last month because of what was going on. But I've been training, doing different things I thought I'd never be doing. I'm going on the bike inside every morning right when I get up. It's just something that I added, and I said, you know what? I'm going to add this into my routine, just do it as extra work all the time, right? And so I've always been ready, knowing that, especially being with Lee Baxter, who knows if I get a call and say, hey, 3 weeks, you get a fight you're going to fight on, a show with Top Rank or whoever.
Yeah.
That's a possibility, especially I have 10 fights now, I'm undefeated. I'm going to get those calls. So rather than say, okay, I got to get in shape, I'm going to fight soon, I'm always going to be in shape. My weight, I'm about 5 pounds over my weight that I should be right now. So I'm still training, I'm still ready. And, knowing with Lee back, he's working his ass off trying to get a fight, whether it's here or somewhere else. We're working on things. So
cool.
Just got to be ready.
So you guys are looking everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
As soon as the opportunity is available, it's going to happen because, like you said, you guys are talking about my age. I'm young. I've never been beat up in my life, whether it's sparring, fights, anything. So I feel I got a lot of time. But that being said, I don't want to wait too long, right?
Yeah. It sounds like you've only beaten yourself up with all the hand injuries and the back injuries, right?
I don't want to say it because they say if you say it, then it happens. But I've always had those things where, just like most boxers, like Katie, I'm sure you've had lots of injuries that you had to put up with and you have to get through. And, we all have those. We just have to get through them, right?
Yeah, just keep going.
Yeah.
I'm sure Jason's got something he wants to.
Yeah, over to Jason. So that's round 1 of questions. Over to round 2. Over to Jason.
So anybody who knows me, I'm sure Katie's been on a couple of Zoom calls with Boxing Ontario with me before. She knows I'm a chatty one. I've always got questions. So I've actually got another 2 for you.
Yep.
If I can remember the second one here. But the first one again is more in relation to young up and coming boxers again. Yep. My son is a boxer. He's the one that wants to go pro. He wants to hit the Olympics. Yep. One of the major obstacles that he faces is outside the ring and outside of training is his peers taking such a high dream and trying to shoot him down. You're never going to make it to the Olympics. Why are you doing that? You're never going to go pro.
Yep.
Did you face that kind of thing? And if you did, how did you deal with it? That's a hard thing to deal with, your peers doing that.
To be honest, I've heard that from so many people. My best friends, who've known me since I was 4 years old. Some of my best friends said to me, Nick, you're not a boxer. You're not from the streets. These guys are going to kill you. They don't understand. A lot of people don't understand what it takes to be a boxer, or, it's not just, you don't have to have a bad upbringing to be a boxer. You could still be hungry. I'm doing okay as a pro right now, and I'm more hungry than I ever was. When I get in the ring, it's a different story. But I heard, oh, you're not the type to box. Oh, you're a boxer, that kind of stuff. I heard my friends say, hey, you're so good, but you're not going to make it anywhere. At the same time, I had a lot of people that supported me, even people that didn't like boxing. So I kind of had it both ways. But believe me, I've had a lot of people tell me that I shouldn't be boxing and I should choose another path.
So how do you get around that? I mean, as a parent, that when you say something to your kids, you can tell them, you can give them a good boy 1,000 times. You tell them one time you did something wrong, and that's the only thing you remember.
Yeah.
So how do you get around that one person or that 3 or 4 people that are doubters like that? Because it is a pretty lofty dream, but I think you should have them. It's good to have.
The way I got around it, to be honest, is I used it as fuel to the fire, right? Like, I'm not the type to worry too much about what people say, because I know why people say things sometimes. Maybe they're not happy with what they're doing with their life, and they want to try to shut down your dreams because they're not happy that they didn't take chances. So I just look at it as more of a positive thing, and more like, okay, you don't think I could do it? Now I have this much more reason, to keep going when I'm exhausted. I don't want to go to training, or I'm in training and I don't want to stop. I don't want to stop working. I want to keep working. Just the extra fuel to fire. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And not to hold everything up here, but I do have one more question in my group of 2. In a modern combat sports world, modern sports world, how important do you think it is, with examples like Ryan Garcia getting picked up by Golden Boy Promotions?
Yep.
A lot. I mean, of course, he's very good. He's a fantastic prospect, but his social media following played a huge role in him getting signed to Golden Boy Productions. How important is social media in the pro game today?
It's very important, because these days, you have people that basically, if you're not posting on social media, you're not doing anything in their minds. I'm the type that, yes, I'm on social media, and yes, I post here and there, but I don't, everyone's telling me you have to post more and this and that. When I'm training, my phone's in my bag. Like, I don't want to worry about, oh, can you take a video of me so I look good for the camera? That's what a lot of people are doing. A better idea is, put the camera on a stand and then just have your whole training being filmed, and then take clips if you want, right? But you have to kind of be relevant on social media, because it's a tough game, and it's a business. So if you're not selling tickets, if you're not promoting yourself, you're not going to get as much attention. Like, I know for me, for example, I had a long amateur career, but I didn't have a lot of fights. So it's not like people knew this guy's an Olympian, he's this. I didn't have that. So I had to hustle really hard to try to get my name out there and try to be relevant. And it helped me, because if that didn't happen, I probably wouldn't be where I am today.
Right.
Yeah, right on. Hey, over to Caitlin.
All right. I guess I just want to follow up on something that Jason asked about, like, blocking out what kind of doubters say. Just because it's apparently a kid from his club who wants to know, or his son. As a fighter, is like something I do is that I literally went through an inventory of my life, and I was like, whose opinion do I actually care about? And it boiled down to, like, God's opinion, my mom, and my coach. And then anybody outside of that, whether they give me positive or negative feedback, I just say, okay, and I move on. I don't even give it 2 thoughts. Like, and it's not to kind of push down the people who say positive things, but if you listen to the good stuff, you got to listen to the bad stuff. So it's just about remembering, like, the people who actually matter in that specific goal that you're working towards. But my question now is that, so I know for me, I have a specific playlist that's completely reserved. I only listen to those 12 songs during my warm up for a fight. It's like that thing that just kind of like, as soon as that first song comes on, it's fight mode. So I guess, Nick, like, do you have anything that you do like that, where it's as soon as something happens, now it's fight time, and is that like, or do you believe in doing something like that where it separates sparring training from fight mode?
That's a really good question. To be honest with you, like the way I am, I look at a fight as any other day. Like I'm just so laid back with it. Like if you talk to me the night before the fight, it's like I'm talking to you right now. Like I'm relaxed, I'm calm. And the reason why I have that attitude is because I leave everything I have in training. Like not the fight, but I mean like I don't leave myself with any doubts. I know I put in the work. It's for me to make 175 pounds is so easy. I always come in a pound or two under. I don't worry about my weight. You know, I might go in the sauna for 5 minutes the night before if I have to, for like literally 5 minutes. So I leave all the work, all the doubts, all the distractions aside, and I just take it like as another day. Because if you're going, like I find if you think too much, if you go into it trying to amp yourself up mentally, I don't get amped until I'm walking to the ring. That's me personally. Then I start getting a little bit into the zone, because other than that, I think it's just wasted energy. But everybody's different.
So do you utilize like any type of visualization during the day of the fight? Because I know like a lot of sports psychologists, you kind of touch the fight throughout the day, because then when it happens, like that's something I've done where like before nationals last year, I literally visualized every single day me winning. And then when I won, I wasn't even happy or excited because in my head it already happened. So do you do anything like that where you visualize that moment happening, or like the performance in the ring?
Yeah.
And then do you utilize skills like that before a fight?
The only thing I really use with that is I envision what the opponent might do, but I only do it to a little extent, because, you know, you can see a video of me and watch me fight and you say, well, if I'm fighting Nick, I'm going to do this, this, and this. It's a lot different when you're in the ring. Like a lot of people see me, oh, I could take advantage of this or that. Then they're in the ring and they can't do anything that they said they were going to do. So I feel the same way about me and opponents, where I don't want to look at a guy and say, oh, he keeps his hand down like this, so I'm going to, you know, give him some hooks. I don't even think of that, because I know it's a possibility, but I'm going to wait till what I see in the ring. And I have like a very good way of like adapting in the ring. So I kind of I do a little bit of scenarios like, okay, what if this guy comes aggressive? What if this guy runs away from me? And I kind of just give different options, but I kind of leave it till I'm in the ring and I adapt.
So you're more in the moment.
Pardon me? Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Very good. Kaylee, is that for your question? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's over to Armand.
Yeah, Armand's next.
And Caitlin always sets me up so nice, you know. She's always got the right pre-question for my question. So based on all that kind of preparation that might be required for an opponent, which was your toughest opponent, amateur or pro, that required you to do some kind of like out of the ordinary preparation for them? And
that's a really good question. Amateur or pro? Trying to think of who. You know, I can't give an answer for that.
Do I get points for stumping the guest or something?
Guest,
I think you do. You know, just with me, I've always been. I'm not cocky in the least bit, but I'm very confident. I don't care who it is. You know, back in the day, Armin, you know, Denton Daly. Everyone was scared of him. Everybody was scared of him. Nobody wanted to fight. He knocked everybody out. And I said to my trainer, I want to fight him. You know, so no matter who it was, I was never backing down from a challenge. Even to this day, I don't care who it is. I want to fight the best. I treat everybody, whether you're, you know, you have a crappy record or you have a great record, I treat everybody as if you're gonna try to beat me, and that you think you can beat me. I'm gonna make sure it doesn't happen. Like for me, it's all the same. I don't care. I just want to win.
Okay, let me ask the second part to that question then.
Sure.
So who was your toughest opponent that you can remember that it was a hell of a tough fight at the end of it? Who gave you the hardest fight?
This is gonna sound so bad, but myself.
Oh no. It can be your worst enemy.
It's because, you know, I kind of, you know, like that fight I said when I had my broken hand, and my next fight after that, I had to adapt during the fight, because I came out, which I said I'll never do, and I came out distracted. I came out thinking I don't want to break my hand again. So that was my opponent getting over that. And then when I threw the right hand, all of a sudden the guy's rocked and the guy's out of it, right? And then that's when I took over. But it was until I beat myself saying, I don't give a crap about your hand, throw your right hand. And then that's what happened.
Nice. Yeah, that's a lot of boxers don't realize they can be their toughest opponent.
100%.
That's good. That's a
And
good
that was a lesson,
realization, and it'll help you.
Yeah. Like that was a lesson, to be honest. I thought I learned, like I told you guys, I went into fights injured and I was okay. And I had my, I got over that because of my mental toughness. But then here we are, my 8th pro fight. And I went into the fight with a doubt because, I tested the hand out before with 16-ounce padded gloves and it killed every time I threw my hand. So even though I say that I worked on that, I wish I have, sometimes things happen. You know what? Now I think I'm over that hump where it doesn't matter if I walk into a fight with a limp because I have a twisted ankle and my knees. I don't care what it is. I'm not thinking about it. I'm just going into the fight I'm fighting. So
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely a tough guy. That's for sure.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it, but I want to be known for other things other than toughness. I don't want to end up,
And you
cuts
are.
and bruises all over my face.
The toughness is just a bonus. The toughness is just
You're
a
right.
bonus to be able to go through injuries and make it through all the things you have and be where you're at. Congratulations to you, Nick.
Oh, thank you very much. And it was a pleasure having you around all this time. And like you said, fighting on your shows, and it was great.
Yeah, true tough Canadian over there. over to Ryan.
Yeah, man, that's you know what, a very very noble and cool quality that to have. Like, you were talking about Denton Daly, saying like, I want to fight that guy because you know what, he's the toughest guy. Taking on the biggest challenge right away, is a awesome quality. I always, like, when I was fighting, I always had a saying, if it makes me nervous, like, I gotta do it. That's the guy I want to fight, right? The one that makes me nervous. So that's cool. That's great quality. I wanted to ask you, what is the one thing that you find like the most difficult in training, and how do you bring yourself to do it? And I know you said like, you've got that strong work ethic, but there must be something that you hate. And what is it? And how do you get yourself to do it?
Do you want me to be honest? The thing I hate the most about training is diet. I'm going to be completely honest with you right now. Anything healthy, I do not like. I don't like vegetables. I don't like I don't even like, I know, people have different thoughts about meat. I don't even like meat. I eat meat because it's easy and it's accessible to me and I have it. But if it was up to me, I'm a 10-year-old kid at heart. I want pasta, I want pizza, I want anything with cheese. That being said, because of boxing, I don't do any of that, right? I'll do it here and there, or after a fight, of course, I'll enjoy myself, but I very limit myself to that kind of stuff. And to be honest with you, like when I have a fight and I'm not eating stuff that I want, I have dreams about it. I salivate as I'm dreaming about food. So it sounds stupid, but that to me is the hardest thing, because training for me,
That doesn't sound stupid at all, man. Yeah, diet, I'd say is like, probably the toughest thing one of the toughest things for me and a lot of fighters. And you know what? It's still debatable whether or not vegetables are good for you. So don't worry about it.
There you go.
You're good to go.
Don't get me wrong. Like, some things I enjoy, right? But I don't go crazy for meat or really. I just like carbs. That's all I like.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. That's the Italian in you.
Yeah. That is.
I hear that.
Cool. Thanks, man.
No worries.
Wait, we round 3 of questions, and we'll go back to the contest winner of CPBC, and that is Jason. Back to Jason here.
All right. So I guess another question on behalf of the boxers, because that's what I do for a living now. When did you think, so specifically you as the first part, when did you think you were ready to go pro? What happened that made you think, okay, now's the time, I'm ready now, as opposed to before that? What was it that started that thinking?
It was probably, just being in there with other boxers, and, Armin, this, all the boxers that, like, I'm talking about, 10, 14 years ago, all the boxers that went pro, most of them are not fighting anymore. But all those guys that I even started before surpassed me, and they went pro. And there's these guys that are, I'm fighting guys that are, sparring guys that are 30, 40 pounds bigger than me, and I'm easily handling them and saying, okay, this guy here is, 8-0, this guy's 12-0, and I'm doing really well with this person. So why are they pro and why am I not? I just kind of forced it. You know what I mean? I didn't really, at the time, even with my trainer, it was always, injury this, injury that. My trainer was kind of skeptical, saying, I don't know if we're going to go pro, this and that. I said, I need it. It's like, it's either, excuse my language, but shit or get off the pot. You know what I mean? So I just said, I don't care what anybody says. I know I'm ready. I've done the work. I've went against, top guys in Canada, whether it's sparring or fighting, and I'm going pro, and that's it. So that's what happened.
So you also said that your amateur career was shorter than you would have liked.
Yeah.
If you were speaking in retrospect, knowing what you know now, talking to either your younger self or an up-and-coming boxer, what would be your general guideline to how many fights you think that they should be looking at as a general goal before they start thinking about going pro?
To be honest, I guess it really all depends on the individual, how old they are. But as a general guideline, I would have loved to have 100 amateur fights, at least. I would have loved that because, I talk about sparring and I've been talking, I sparred this guy and this guy. It's totally different than fighting. I told you I sparred Troy Ross, 2 years into my amateur boxing career. That being said, we all know Troy Ross was not trying to take my head off. He was going hard, but he's not trying to really, So basically what I'm saying is sparring is very different, and I would have loved to have a lot more amateur fights so I could get my feet more wet in fighting, as opposed to more learning on the job, right?
Awesome. Thank you very much.
No worries.
Very good. Over to Caitlin.
All right. So something I've learned through my boxing career that I really struggled with until probably like 2 or 3 years ago was that you have to separate, you have to make time in your life where it's not boxing. You have to be able to kind of turn it off like a switch. So for me, my turn off is I'm in the wilderness right now. That's what I do is I plan a major hiking trip about 3 times a year. And it's just that trip. I don't think about boxing. I don't do anything that's related to boxing. I don't even work out. I just hike. So what's your kind of oasis away from the sport, or what do you do to kind of release your mind and I don't want to say distract, but pull away from the sport for a minute and just come back into reality and ground yourself again?
Another great question, Katie. Do you mean by in between fights or during training?
Oh, no. When it's training, you're training, but it's always important. And this is something that took me a long time to learn, but it's so important to create space in your life where throughout, for us, it's a season where it's hey, I'm taking this week and I'm going to do this. And then that way, when you come back to it, all of a sudden the passion's there, the fire's there, and you're better than you were when you left.
Yeah. Few things I use as kind of my escape from boxing, I guess, is music. And you touched on it saying that there's some songs that you don't listen to unless you're getting ready for a fight. And that's the kind of same thing as me, is I don't listen to my songs that I train with and that other than when I'm training. So that music's a huge thing for me. If I had any talent whatsoever that I don't have, it would be music. I played guitar for many years, but I'm not good. I'm okay. I could play songs, but I'm not good. But, that's kind of an escape for me, or, even just seeing family and friends. Those are just things that I kind of, but it's hard because, Katie, what's the first thing anybody who sees you asks you? How's boxing?
Are you still
When's your next fight?
When's your next fight?
That's it. And it comes to a point where you love it because it's good for you, and people are thinking about that. But at the same time, it's kind of I just answered this question many, many times today. I don't want to talk about it, but it is what it is, right? Yeah.
All right, Armand, back to you.
So, working off of Katie as usual, because she's setting me up so nice. I'd like to know. Yeah, she does a great job of that. So when have you been known to take breaks, because one of the differences between like pro boxing and amateur boxing is that in pro boxing you pretty much have to be ready for a fight anytime.
Yep.
So how do you know like when it's time to take a break? Do you just go based on holidays, or do you have like certain periodization that you go by?
Yeah. To be honest, my thing is, and it's not that I'm rich, because I'm definitely not, but after every fight, after every pro fight, I go away. I try to, at least. I go on a vacation. I go to like a, all inclusive, just get away and just relax, do nothing. I don't lift a finger when it comes to, any kind of training or running, anything. I just do that. And when I can't go away, I just take a week off. Like a lot of people say, oh, I just fought and it was only a round, but I'm back in the gym on Monday. Forget that. The hardest part, you guys are saying, what's the hardest part? And I said, diet, about training. The hardest part about training probably is training, because your body just gets beat up and killed. Like physically, you're running, you're doing your road work. I run stairs in my condo up and down. I go on the bike. I do weights. I play basketball in a league. All this stuff that I do, your body needs a break. It's not like, it doesn't matter if the fight was hard or not. After the fight, you need to just give your body a break. And then if you don't do that, you're going to wear yourself out. You're going to get injured, and you're not going to have that same hunger. So I take a week, even up to maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks after a pro fight. Usually, but one time I fought like a month after my fight. I fought another pro fight a month later, but that's because I got the call to fight at the ACC, the Scotiabank Arena. So, when I heard that fight was happening, I went up to my promoter Lee and I said, Lee, get me on the show. I don't care, just get me on the show. Next day he calls me, Nick, you're on the show. So
Nice.
If you don't, that's the thing too, Katie. You're gonna, the same thing is, when you want something, you have to just get it. You have to. You already know this. I know your work ethic, right? But you have to just, if you just let things come to you, they won't come. You have to.
You gotta force it. You have to force your fate. That's what it is.
Right.
You gotta make it happen.
100%. Yeah, my first pro fight I was supposed to have, so I was not with Lee, it was with somebody else. And the day after it was on BoxRec that I was having my debut, and I'm the happiest guy in the world because finally I'm going pro. The guy, something happened, broke his leg or broke his ankle or something. I got a call, hey, sorry, you're off the show. They pulled me from the show. They didn't find a replacement. So I happened to run into Lee. I was doing a favor, and I ran into Lee, and I just said, Lee, I got my license. I know you have a lot of shows. Put me on your show. I told him I work my butt off. I train all the time. I'll sell tickets. Just put me on your show. He looked at me, and I guess he looked into my eyes. He saw something. He said something. He goes, oh, let's do it. Put me on. He got me on his card. That time, he had 3 people that I was supposed to fight pulled out of the fight, and he kept working, kept getting me guy after guy after guy. We couldn't find anybody in Canada, so they got some guy from Mexico. He had like 24 pro fights. He had like a bad record. It was like 50-50. It was 50-50, and I'm not saying he was great, but you know what? I said I took it. I said I don't care if he has 24 fights. I'm fighting. Then I got the first round knockout. So,
Nice.
You have to go for it.
Good. Awesome.
Great answer. Hey, over to Ryan.
Awesome. Yeah. Hey, Nick, I just wanted to know who your favorite boxer was, and who had the most influence on you as a fighter.
Couple guys. So Roy Jones, always. I've always loved him. The way he fights, even though he's a little cocky and stuff, it's just I always loved Roy Jones. His athleticism, his speed, his power. Mayweather, for example, he's a great fighter. Mayweather is the kind of guy where, oh crap, they think, this guy's gonna beat me. Roy Jones is gonna beat you, but he's also gonna knock you out. And he was dangerous, right?
Sure.
So him, Lennox Lewis, as we all know, we all know him, right? Lennox Lewis that's the other guy, right? So those are my 2 probably most influential boxers, because Lennox is more. I try to take I try to take from my favorite fighters a little bit of each and try to kind of make my own, right? And Lennox with his his intelligence, his length, his power, everything, right? So those are my.
Well, that's really interesting.
You are tall and long for your weight too.
Yeah.
When you're fighting your weight, so that is good.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting, because I've noticed you do use your range really well.
Yeah.
You have a good sense of the distance, and you're really calm in there. So that's a lot. Those are some Lennox qualities for sure.
Yeah, that's what I try. Yeah.
Yeah, well
He's
said.
a monster. I remember when I met him for the first time. It's crazy. I met him for the first time, like not even a year ago. And through all these years of boxing, he's the one guy I never met, and I'm like, why haven't I met him yet, right? And he had some nice things to say, and it was awesome. So also, it's like I don't really care if you're, obviously it's nice, but I don't care if you're Canadian. I like an athlete or a musician for who they are, not opposed to where they're from. Yeah. But it's a little even better that Lennox is Canadian. So, well, got a few countries he backs, right?
Yeah.
Cool. You represented Canada well over the years.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure have, Nick. That's for sure. Well, I have a question for you. We're looking at more of like a long-term perspective. How would you like to be remembered in your boxing career? How do you want to be remembered overall? You have any ideas as far as how you want people to remember Nick, the boxer?
That's another tough question. It would just be nice to be remembered. That's all. Whatever reason it might be. I would like to be remembered as, what, that guy was good. That guy was really good. That's what I would like to remember, because you could be entertaining, you could be skilled, but you just want to be someone that was positive. And I think, not to talk about myself, but I've influenced some people that they've told me how much I've influenced them, and that's at the scale I'm at now. So once I'm at a way bigger scale, I hope I could, help influence other people, and that to me kind of means more than just what I did in the ring. So that's
yeah. Back to the show, it happens too. It's gonna reach that bigger scale.
Pardon me, sorry.
Hopefully we get you back in the show again once you're on the bigger scale.
This is nuts. Kind of a side question I'll ask you guys, like, if someone would have told you, 7-8 months ago that this is what would be going on for the next 7 or 8 months, what would you guys have said?
Oh, it'd be no way.
Yeah, I would have thought you're crazy, right?
Oh, totally. I mean, it's kind of interesting.
I don't know. My mom was telling me in December, she's like, COVID's going to become a thing, Caitlin. Like, she's all about conspiracy theories. But that one was right. She was like, we're going to be in lockdown, Caitlin. Like, this was in December. And then when it happened, I was like, oh, I guess you were right this one time.
Very unusual times, man.
Nuts.
Very unusual, yeah.
Oh, right on, guys.
We're almost through it, though. So.
Oh, sorry, Ryan, what were you saying?
I just said we're almost through it, so.
Yeah, I hope so.
I hope so.
I think we're all in a boat where is it going to be a second wave coming? I think that's the next question. I mean,
don't talk like that, please. I just want to get back
on wood.
Yeah,
I've never.
That's all.
What's the second wave? I've never heard of that.
Well, apparently it's coming in the fall, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully not, because I think we all
hopefully not.
want to move on. So
I might be wrong here, but I feel that Canadians are very complicit with all the rules. Like whatever they say to do, we do. So I don't see how things can get worse again. And if you don't open up the border, if you don't do anything, and you have these conspiracy theorists saying, "Oh, it's all politics, it's this and that." But if they keep the same guidelines going, how is it possibly going to be like a second wave? I don't get it.
I agree with you. I mean, Canada's done a great job. Canada's done a great job handling it all. I'm really very, very proud of that fact. And it's always that, unfortunately, when you're in business and and for all of us involved in boxing, it's not possible that could happen. But I mean, Ontario, Canada's done a fantastic job handling it all.
Boxing Ontario and all of our gyms have done a tremendous job making sure that we're allowed to get back to training and that it's safe.
Yeah, a little shout out to Box Ontario for that too. They did a great job with the mandate, reopening gyms again under the new mandate and new guidelines.
They've been outstanding.
Excellent job.
Outstanding.
You have some good people working at Box Ontario for sure.
Just like you guys, just like all of you guys. They're all good folks, whether it's pro or the amateur scene. It's a great huge family or community, whatever we want to call it, that we have here. So that's why I have the show help introduce the people all around about you guys and where you're up to, because you guys have a great stories, all of you combined. So hey, Nick.
Actually, did anybody?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Nick. Go ahead, sir.
Did anybody hear anything like with sparring and all those rules? Do you guys know anything about that? When it's going to be allowed? And
so you're allowed to spar with people that you live with.
Yeah, it's only
if you live with them, you can spar with them. But they're saying like hopefully October, November we'll be allowed to spar, and then fights by December. That's the word right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything good about fights in 2020. Everything that's coming from the people that I'm in contact with are saying that it's going to be 2021.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I hope Patty's right.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it'd be probably more like early next year. We'll see something happen.
Yeah.
The way it looks, the way it's sounding, I'm hearing the same vibe too. I know Pro Boxing Canada's looking at their first pro fight back after the pandemic in January, sometime out east. But again, it's not fully confirmed how we're gonna be next little while.
Well, and like something else to consider, like I was talking to someone and like another person on the national team, and it's like, yeah, just because they're going to allow fights in Ontario, like we're not going to be allowed to travel to leave a country to go to a tournament with like 20 other countries. They're not going to let that. Like, to me, that's when international events open up, that's when I think the world will like be back to full normal.
Yeah.
But I think we're a little ways out from that.
I agreed 100%. Well, hey, thanks, guys. And thanks, Knockout Panel. And thanks, Nick. Thanks for being on the show today. It was fantastic.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thanks
I
for
knew
all
you'd
the
be
questions
great.
from everybody.
You were great.
Thank you, guys. Great to hear from you, Nick. Thank you.
Oh, you too,
Yeah,
Armin.
also,
Yeah, Nick, excellent answers.
yeah, great answers. But great questions too from you guys. As
Sorry
always.
if I talk too much sometimes. I know
No.
I kind of
It's
ran
great
on a
for-
little bit.
It's great for the show, trust me. And you're great.
That's right.
So, guys, say if we have let's let the viewers and audience know where they can check you out. More information as far as social media is concerned for you, Nick. Where can they?
My Instagram is Nick_Fantauzi, FANTAUZZI. Facebook's just Nick Fantauzi, and then my page is Team Fantauzi, and that's it. So
That's excellent, sir. Thank you.
appreciate it.
Well, folks, we're out of time already. The show flies by, I find. But as usual, guys are a great panel, great questions from the Knockout panel, great guests. Thanks, sir, Nick. So, folks, this is Knockout. Thanks, a very special thanks to Nick for joining us today, and of course, to our Knockout panel. You guys are always awesome, and of course, Jason, who was a CPBC contest winner. Thank you, sir, for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me.
Ryan, Jason, and Katie, it's very nice meeting you guys. Armin, nice seeing you again.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, real soon.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, and thank you, folks, and thank you, Knockout Nation, for watching. Much appreciated. So this show can also be heard on the BarnBurner Radio Network on all of its 122 platforms. Please check out the barnburner.ca for all the news. So BarnBurner, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, live it. Thank you, folks. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Noel.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Take care, Noel. Have a good
See you
weekend.
soon.
See you guys.
See ya.
See you later. So how do I?
See you, Jason. Hi, done, Ellie.